Have you ever stopped and wondered about the hidden ties that hold our world together? Behind the scenes, countries depend on each other more than we realize. Today, we're opening a door to a truth that might shock you. There are some countries that simply cannot survive without China. This isn't about politics or blaming anyone. It's about the real, painful economic facts. China's rise has changed everything. Its giant factories, endless hunger for raw materials, and billions of shoppers have tied many nations closely to its success. For some, it's a good partnership, but for others, it's life or death. Without China's money, trade, and help, these countries could face serious trouble, even collapse. Get ready, we're about to reveal the 10 countries whose futures are deeply locked with China. Some names on this list may shock you and even make you feel a little sad about how fragile our world truly is. Number 1, Australia. For many years, Australia has been like a giant treasure chest full of natural riches. Deep under its soil lie things the world can't live without: iron ore, coal, natural gas, and many other valuable minerals. These raw materials have helped build modern cities, cars, phones, and factories. But what's most surprising is how much of this treasure goes to just one country, China. The connection is massive. Think about iron ore. It's what we need to make steel, and China is the world's biggest steel maker. And guess who gives China most of its iron ore? Australia. It's like Australia is feeding a giant every single day. The money made from these exports is in the billions, and it's a huge part of Australia's income. According to government numbers, in recent years, iron ore sales to China made up a huge slice of Australia's total exports. But here's the shocking truth. If something goes wrong, if China slows down its buying or chooses to buy from somewhere else, Australia could be in serious trouble. Jobs in the mines could vanish. Government budgets could collapse. Families could suffer. It's a fragile situation, and many don't realize how close we are to that edge. Coal is another big player. Australia sends China 2 types, one for making electricity and one for making steel. Even though the world is slowly moving toward clean energy, China still uses a lot of coal. That means Australia's coal business is still alive, but it's walking a tightrope. One small change in demand could shake everything. And then there's natural gas. Another big export. It powers Chinese homes and factories. Australia's gas is keeping the lights on in millions of Chinese houses. But what if China doesn't need it tomorrow? It's not just about minerals. Even Australia's farmers are tied to China. Chinese families love high-quality Aussie beef, dairy, and wine. As China's middle class grows, so does the hunger for Australian food and drink. But again, if China's economy slows down or decides to buy elsewhere, Aussie farmers could be left with full barns and empty pockets. And here's the heartbreaking reality. Australia depends a lot on China. Too much, maybe. If China sneezes, Australia could catch a cold. A change in Chinese laws, a drop in Chinese growth, or even a political disagreement could break this delicate balance. Australia is trying to find new trade partners to protect itself, but that's not easy. Changing these trade ties is like turning a giant ship. It takes time, effort, and luck. This close relationship has brought both countries a lot of wealth, but at the same time, it has left Australia deeply exposed. It's a risky game, and the question remains, what happens if China walks away? Number 2, Vietnam. Vietnam has become one of the world's rising stars in the manufacturing world. Factories are popping up, workers are busy, and products like shoes, clothes, and electronics are being made and shipped all over the world. Many people see Vietnam as a strong backup or even a new alternative to China. But here's the shocking truth. Vietnam's success is tightly tied to China, and that connection runs deeper than most people realize. So much of what Vietnam makes actually starts in China. The cloth for the shirts, the parts for the phones, the machines that run the factories, they mostly come from China. So if something bad happens in China, like a factory shutdown, a trade war, or even a slowdown in deliveries, it doesn't just hurt China. It hurts Vietnam too. A delay in China can stop a whole line of production in Vietnam. That means fewer exports, fewer jobs, and more stress for families who depend on those paychecks. And it's not just about Vietnam buying from China. China also buys a lot from Vietnam. Things like fruit, rice, coffee, and even more factory-made goods. There's a massive back and forth trade between the two countries. It's like two people balancing on a seesaw. If one falls, the other feels it too. Vietnam's low wages and good location have made it very attractive to foreign companies. Many businesses, especially from the West, are moving their factories to Vietnam to avoid putting all their eggs in China's basket. This strategy, called China Plus One, means companies still make things in China, but also set up shops in places like Vietnam. But here's the catch, and it's a sad one. Even these Vietnam factories still depend on China. They may be on different land, but they still need Chinese materials. So even when the world tries to move away from China, Vietnam can't fully escape China's shadow. If something big happens, like a political fight, a trade breakup, or closed borders, Vietnam could be hit hard. Its factories could slow down or stop. Workers could lose jobs. Growth could stall. And the country's dreams of becoming a strong, independent economy could be put on pause. Vietnam is stuck in a tough spot. It's growing fast, it's trying hard, but it's also deeply linked to a much bigger neighbor. It's like a small boat sailing beside a giant ship. If the big ship rocks, the little one might tip over. The connection with China brings both chances and risks. It has helped Vietnam grow, but it also puts its future in a delicate, shaky position. One wrong move, one disruption, and the effects could be sad, serious, and sudden. Number 3, Malaysia. Malaysia is a beautiful country blessed with rich natural resources. It has things like palm oil and rubber, which are in high demand in China. Palm oil, found in so many foods and beauty products, is something China buys a lot of. Rubber, too, is very important, especially for making tires. Because of this, Malaysia has been doing well. But here's the heartbreaking truth. So much of Malaysia's success depends on China. It's not just about selling raw materials. Malaysia is now an important player in the world's electronics market too. Big factories are building parts and gadgets, and guess what? Many of the materials they need come from China. And a lot of what they make either ends up in China or is used in products made there. If something goes wrong in China, Malaysia feels the pain instantly. China's big Belt and Road project, meant to connect the world through trade and infrastructure, has brought money and new roads to Malaysia. But it also made Malaysia even more tied to China's economy. It's like Malaysia has been handed a beautiful golden rope, but that rope also keeps them tightly attached. If China pulls too hard or lets go, Malaysia could stumble. The money and trade from China have definitely helped, but this connection comes with risks. If China's economy slows down, if trade policies change, or if Chinese demand falls, Malaysia's businesses could suffer badly. Factories might slow down, farmers could lose income, and families could struggle. And there's more sadness: tourism. Chinese tourists now make up a huge part of Malaysia's tourism industry. Hotels, restaurants, malls, they all depend on them. If Chinese tourists stop coming because of a crisis, political tensions, or a slowdown, it would hurt thousands of small businesses, from taxi drivers to hotel owners. Their smiles would fade, and the streets that once bustled with visitors could fall silent. Malaysia is trying hard to find new trade partners and become less dependent, but the truth is, the bond with China is massive and deep. Right now, Malaysia's future is closely tied to how strong and steady China stays. If China stumbles, Malaysia could fall too, and the shock would be felt in every corner of the country. Number 4, Angola. Angola is a country blessed with oil-black gold that the world needs to keep moving. For years, Angola's oil has flowed mostly to China, bringing in huge amounts of money that helped build the nation. At first, it seemed like a dream come true. Roads, railways, bridges, all built with the help of Chinese companies and money. Angola was rising from the ruins of its painful past. Hope was everywhere. But behind this growth hides a heavy truth. Angola now depends deeply on China, both for selling its oil and for paying back its huge debts. If China's economy slows down, if oil prices crash, Angola's heart will feel it immediately. Families would lose jobs. Government projects would stop. The dream of a better future could slip away in the blink of an eye. Just like Zambia, Angola has borrowed a lot from China to build its future. While these roads and buildings are important, they came at a heavy price, mountains of debt. Angola promised to pay back much of this debt by sending oil, but what happens if the oil money drops? Angola could find itself trapped, struggling to keep up, gasping for financial air. The relationship between Angola and China follows a simple but dangerous pattern. Angola gives oil, and China gives roads. But when one side controls most of the money, the other side becomes dangerously vulnerable. Angola's future now feels like it's walking on a tightrope. One wrong step, one drop in oil prices, one bad year for China, and Angola could fall into a deep economic crisis. Leaders know they must find other ways to earn money and survive, but that is easier said than done. Right now, Angola's economy is so closely tied to China's health that any storm in Beijing could turn into a hurricane in Luanda. This painful truth hangs heavy over Angola's future, filling it with worry, sadness, and a desperate hope for a more independent tomorrow. Number 5, Zambia. Zambia is a land full of copper, a metal that the whole world needs for building, making machines, and even new green energy. At first glance, this sounds like a blessing, and it has been, but it's also a hidden danger. Zambia's economy depends heavily on selling copper, and most of it goes straight to China. China is the world's biggest buyer, and for a while, this brought money and hope to Zambia's people. But here's the sad part. Zambia has tied its future tightly to just one buyer, China. Whenever copper prices fall, often because China's demand drops, Zambia's income crashes too. Families suffer, jobs are lost, and dreams are put on hold. One shift in China's economy can send shockwaves across Zambia, shaking the whole country's stability. It gets even scarier. China hasn't just been buying Zambia's copper, it's been lending Zambia money too, helping build big roads, railways, and other projects. It sounds great, right? But these loans come with a heavy cost. If copper prices fall, or if Zambia can't keep up with its payments, the country could find itself drowning in debt. The dream of progress could quickly turn into a nightmare of struggle and poverty. The connection between Zambia and China is complicated. On one hand, China's money and market have kept Zambia moving forward. On the other, Zambia is now dangerously dependent. If China's economy weakens or decides to buy copper elsewhere, Zambia could be left standing alone, facing a brutal economic storm. Right now, Zambia's future feels fragile, like a small boat in a giant sea tied to a massive ship, China, that could change course at any moment. Experts say Zambia needs to find new buyers and new ways to make money fast. But the hard truth is, for now, Zambia's fate is deeply linked to China's choices and China's success, and that reality carries a heavy weight of fear, sadness, and uncertainty for millions of Zambians who just want a better life. Number 6, Brazil. Brazil, a land blessed with rich soil and endless fields, has become one of the world's biggest food suppliers. But behind the green farms and golden harvests, there's a silent truth. Brazil's economy now leans heavily on China's endless hunger. The biggest story? Soybeans. These little beans, mostly used to feed China's huge number of pigs and chickens, have turned into the beating heart of Brazil's farm economy. At first, it seemed like a beautiful friendship. Brazil grew more and more soybeans, and China bought them all. Farmers became hopeful. Towns grew richer. Dreams blossomed across the countryside. But today, many Brazilians feel a heavy fear creeping in. What if China stops buying? What if trade fights break out? What if new Chinese rules suddenly change? In just one moment, millions of farmers and families could lose everything they worked so hard for. It's not just soybeans either. Brazil also sells beef and chicken to China, feeding not just Chinese plates, but also its growing middle class that now demands more meat. Every bite in China brings money to Brazil. Yet this close link hides a risky truth. Brazil has put too many of its eggs into one basket. If China sneezes, Brazil could catch a cold, and it could be a cold strong enough to freeze towns, farms, and entire communities. Even beyond farming, China is pouring money into Brazil's roads, ports, and railways. These projects do help Brazil grow, but they also tie Brazil's future tighter and tighter to China's decisions. If China's economy stumbles, Brazil could find itself falling with it. Brazil's leaders know the danger. They talk about selling to more countries and making smarter products. But right now, the truth is hard to ignore. Brazil's farms, factories, and futures are deeply woven into China's needs. And as the world changes faster than ever, many Brazilians are left wondering, how long can this one-sided dance last before it breaks? Number 7, South Korea. South Korea, a country famous for its high-tech gadgets and strong industries, has built a deep and complicated friendship with China. For years, China has been one of South Korea's biggest customers, buying millions of dollars worth of semiconductors, electronics, and cars. It felt like a winning partnership. South Korean companies even built huge factories inside China, weaving themselves tightly into the global supply chain. But underneath this success, there's a shocking truth. South Korea has become very dependent on China, especially when it comes to semiconductors, tiny but powerful chips that are the brains behind phones, computers, and even cars. South Korea is one of the world's top producers of these chips, and China's giant electronics industry can't function without them. At the same time, South Korea imports a lot of parts and raw materials from China too. It's like a complicated dance where products move across borders many times before they're finished. One small mistake or problem in China can ripple through the entire South Korean economy, causing factories to slow down, workers to lose jobs, and businesses to suffer. Even though South Korea is a smart, powerful country with many industries, the heavy dependence on China's market feels like walking a tightrope. One wrong step, a slowdown in China's economy, or a trade fight could send South Korea's economy shaking. Leaders in South Korea know this is dangerous. They are trying hard to find new trading partners and make their own industries stronger. But the truth is painful. The amount of trade and money tied to China is massive. It's not easy to untangle. South Korea's future is still deeply tied to what happens in China. And that reality brings both hope and fear. Number 8, Thailand. Thailand, a country known for its stunning beaches, colorful traditions, and mouth-watering street food, has always been a favorite spot for travelers. Tourists bring life and money to the country, especially Chinese tourists, who have become the biggest group of visitors in recent years. Their arrival helped grow businesses, hotels filled up, restaurants boomed, shops stayed busy, and thousands of locals found jobs. It felt like a golden age for tourism. But behind this success was a hidden danger. Thailand was depending too much on tourists from just one country, China, and then something happened that changed everything. When COVID-19 hit, the world shut down. Planes stopped flying, streets once filled with smiling travelers turned silent, but for Thailand, the shock was even deeper. Chinese tourists vanished overnight, and with them, a huge piece of the country's economy disappeared. Hotels went dark, restaurants closed, taxi drivers, tour guides, and shop owners cried as their incomes vanished. Entire towns that lived off tourism felt empty and broken. It was a painful reminder. Putting all your hope in one place can be dangerous. What if China's economy struggles again? What if new travel rules keep people away? Thailand's tourism industry could once more fall into crisis. Today, the country is trying hard to invite tourists from other parts of the world, but the truth is clear. Before the pandemic, no one spent like the Chinese did, and that deep link between Thailand's economy and Chinese tourists still remains. This story isn't just about travel, it's about survival. It shows how one strong connection can also become a big weakness. Thailand must now find balance, build strength, and never again rely so heavily on one nation to keep its heart beating. Number 9, Cambodia. In the last few years, Cambodia has seen a flood of money from China. Big Chinese companies have poured investments into the country, building roads, bridges, real estate, and hotels. China is now Cambodia's biggest trading partner and the main source of foreign money coming into the country. Through China's huge Belt and Road project, Cambodia got new infrastructure, but not without risks. At first, everything seemed exciting. New buildings rose, new roads connected towns, and businesses grew. But behind the shiny new projects hides a worrying truth. Most of this growth depends heavily on Chinese money, and that means Cambodia has taken on a lot of debt. Money it must someday pay back. What if China changes its mind? What if Cambodia can't repay? These fears are real. The tourism boom also tells a bittersweet story. More and more Chinese tourists have been visiting Cambodia's beautiful beaches, temples, and cities. Their money has kept hotels, restaurants, and shops alive. Many Cambodians found new jobs and new hopes. But this success came with a hidden sadness. Too much dependence on just one group of visitors. If Chinese tourists stop coming because of a health scare, new travel rules, or an economic crash in China, Cambodia's tourism industry could fall apart almost overnight. And there's more. Even though Cambodia's exports to China have grown, they are focused mostly on a few industries. If China changes its buying habits or slows down its economy, Cambodian businesses could suffer badly. There's no doubt that China has helped Cambodia's economy grow fast. But it's also true that Cambodia now leans heavily on just one partner, and that's dangerous. To protect its future, Cambodia must find new friends, build new markets, and grow more carefully. But sadly, right now, Cambodia's economic future still depends heavily on China, and that makes the road ahead uncertain and a little frightening. Number 10, Pakistan. Pakistan has become a major partner in China's huge Belt and Road Initiative. One of the biggest projects is the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, where billions of dollars are being poured into building roads, ports, and power plants across Pakistan. At first glance, it feels exciting, a country finally getting the help it needs to grow and connect with the world. But behind this hope hides a scary truth. Most of this money isn't free, it comes as big loans from China, and now Pakistan owes China a huge amount of debt. While the new highways and ports are important, the pressure of repayment is growing heavier every day. If Pakistan's economy slows down, how will it ever pay back all that money? What happens if China demands stricter repayment? The fear is real and growing. Pakistan's trade between Pakistan and China also tells a sad story. Pakistan buys a lot of goods from China, everything from clothes to machines, but sells very little in return. This imbalance leaves Pakistan stuck, always needing more than it can give. And when Pakistan's economy struggles, China often steps in with more loans and emergency money. It's a lifeline, but it's also a chain, pulling Pakistan deeper into dependence. The friendship between China and Pakistan has surely helped Pakistan develop, there's no denying that. New roads, better trade, and new power plants have changed lives. But the cost? A growing fear that Pakistan's future is tied too tightly to China's decisions. If China's economy slows, or if China changes its policies, Pakistan could be left scrambling, desperate, and struggling to survive. Afghanistan is now trying to find new friends and build a stronger, more independent economy. But the truth is heartbreaking. Right now, Pakistan's survival still depends heavily on China. The size of China-Pakistan Economic Corridor and the mountain of debt have made it almost impossible for Pakistan to stand alone. And Pakistan isn't the only country facing this risky reality. Across the world, from the mines of Africa to the farms of Brazil to the factories of Southeast Asia, nations have grown rich because of China's money. But they have also grown fragile, dependent, and vulnerable. It's not all bad. These partnerships have brought hope and prosperity, but at what hidden cost? One wrong move from China could send shockwaves around the world. The rise of China has changed everything, and these 10 countries are living proof. Were you surprised to see Pakistan on this list? How do you feel about this dangerous economic dependency? Share your thoughts below. I would love to hear your views. And if you found this story eye-opening, please hit the like button. It really helps support the channel. Don't forget to subscribe for more real stories about the world's hidden struggles. We're just getting started. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.